Welcome back, everyone, to brand new box office breakdown show here on Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Denenberg. Today on the show, and as I do every single Tuesday here on the channel, I break down this past weekend's domestic box office, then the overall 2024 year domestic and worldwide, and then I break down what movies are coming out in theaters this upcoming weekend. So welcome back to the channel. If you're new, I talk all things movies, TV shows, and this box office every single week, and daily. So please, if you're new, subscribe and ring that bell. We're almost at 210 subscribers. Let's get there as quickly as possible. Comment down below. What are your thoughts on a resurgence at the box office? What will be the first 100 million opening? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And also, please like the video. So this is our first time in over 3 weeks since today, a full-fledged box office breakdown show. I was busy 2 weeks ago, and last week I did a video basically talking about the movie theater experience off an awful May and really setting up June, because this is our first weekend in June. And I wanted to talk about what my thoughts are on the disappointing May box office, my movie theater experience. I'm really proud of that video. So if you've not checked out that video, that is in my box office video playlist. And it is one of my more recent videos. So I would highly recommend checking that out. But we're going to focus today, just on the box office. I keep slipping today. This will be the first time here on the box office. So let's look at this past numbers. First weekend in June, which is June the 7th to June the 9th. And let's get into it. So the opening at number one this past weekend from Sony. Sony has the first two movies this weekend, but number one is Bad Boys Ride or Die, which was very nerve-wracking numbers coming in, because obviously it's the first test for Will Smith post his Oscar slap. And the movie opens to a really good $56.5 million, the second highest opening so far in the summer, only behind Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And also, Bad Boys Ride or Die is the second biggest opening of the franchise, around 6 or 7 million behind the last film in the franchise, Bad Boys 3. So this is a really good sign. Now, maybe, yes, if Will Smith didn't have the Oscar slap, maybe this is a higher number, but this is still a really good number for Sony. And a lot of these people on screen and behind the screen. If you didn't see my movie review, I kind of broke this down for Bad Boys, but the two co-directors of this movie had the Bad Boys movie. The last film did very well, and Bad Boys, the last movie, was kind of the only big movie that came out then onward that did really good pre-pandemic. And this movie came out, the last Bad Boys film came out right before the pandemic, a couple months before the pandemic in early 2020. And here we are now 4 years later with the sequel. But I said the directors had the last success. Then they had Batgirl that got shelved. They're back in the forefront. I think this is a massive win for Will Smith, where he only did that Apple TV Plus movie, Emancipation. And even with the Oscar slap, so many people went out to check out the new Bad Boys movie. So I think if there's people in Hollywood nervous about how Will Smith would do in Hollywood post the Oscar slap, I think that for the most part can probably go away after the success of Bad Boys Ride or Die. Obviously, with these two last movies being by far the biggest movies of the franchise, they can obviously continue making movies in the franchise. They have not officially announced a Bad Boys 5, but we'll see if there is in the future weeks. I'm covering the box office. At number two, also from Sony, is the Garfield movie in its third weekend. Only dropped 29%, and it's up to $10 million this past weekend. This is one of the cheaper animated movies that you'll find. It's under $100 million budget, if I'm not mistaken. And I was correct. I just checked. Garfield movie has a $60 million budget. That's before advertising. So this movie, very cheap animated film, only made for $60 million. It's already up to $68 million domestic. We'll get into its worldwide numbers in that part of the breakdown. But again, this movie did not have Puss in Boots level success. This is from Sony. They've had obviously bigger successes in the animated form. So this movie did not dominate the box office. Even though it came out with Furiosa on that holiday weekend. But it was also about another family film that's number 3 this past weekend, and that is If, which is from Paramount. If's in its 4th weekend, only a 25% drop, 7.8 million. It's up to $93.3 million. And If is on track to get to the $100 million plateau domestic. This is a massive win for John Krasinski and Paramount, because obviously after the A Quiet Place movies, Krasinski and Ryan Reynolds each signed deals with Paramount Pictures. And you're going to see how valuable, I think, Paramount finally has seen how valuable John Krasinski is as a filmmaker. He is not reliant on the IP. Obviously, he created a part of the creation of the A Quiet Place franchise that has a new movie coming out this month, and obviously creating If. So he is a very valuable filmmaker moving forward, as this film, shockingly getting to 100 domestic, is a very good sign for and winners all across the board. At number 4 is the other new movie that came out this past weekend, which was The Watchers, which is from Warner Brothers Discovery, opening to $7 million. Now, it is said that the budget is supposed to be under $10 million, and it opened to 7. So if that is true, before advertising, it was around $10 million. Let's just say that this isn't a terrible box office start, but you can definitely tell the M. Night Shyamalan name still has its warranty and still has its name in Hollywood, but if Ishan, I think, wants to pop and lower expectations for people. Obviously, everyone threw their M. Night expectations on this movie. It did not do well, both critically or from an audience perspective. So I wonder when Ishana Shyamalan can get her next film made. The question is, would she have M. Night once again as a producer, or will she start branching and doing stuff on her own that feels different from her dad? That will be very interesting to see moving forward. The Watchers, another horror movie, as they say, thriller, horror, whatever you want to say. These movies always make their way into the top 5, and The Watchers did the same. Wrapping up the top 5 is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes in its 5th weekend, 40% drop, 5.4 million, 150 million domestically now for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. The big story here is it hung on to number 5 spot over Furiosa by over $1 million in just 3 weekends. Furiosa is already outside the top 5 domestic, was only in the top 5, as I said, for the first 2 weeks of its release. And I'm someone who's passionate about Furiosa. It is very disappointing that movie has only hit 58 million domestic in 3 weekends, while Bad Boy just made 58 million in just 1 weekend. I like both movies. It's just saying that one of them is not doing well, but Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes doing very well for 20th Century Fox, which is Disney, and this franchise definitely has legs moving forward. When we get into the overall numbers domestically this year, Dune Part 2, by far and away biggest movie of the year. We'll get into that worldwide in a second, but 282.1 for Dune Part 2. Godzilla x Kong at 196 is at number 2. Kung Fu Panda 4 at number 3 with 193 million. So again, Dune Part 2, the only movie in the $200 million club domestically. Then you have Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire at Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes at 4, Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire at 5. Those are so far the 5 movies that have hit 100 million domestic. We're usually a lot higher than that at this point, especially as we're heading into June. But I'm sure, hopefully, a couple more summer movies, hopefully 3 to 4, maybe hopefully more, can get into the $100 million domestic way. And If is at number 7. It's only $7 million away from reaching that plateau. The rest of the top 5, as I said, Bob Marley's at 6, If at 7, Fall Guys at 8, Mean Girls at 9, and the Garfield movie at 10. It is unlikely that, obviously, the Fall Guy will not hit 100 million, and it's also unlikely that Garfield will. But again, Garfield only a $60 million budget, so it doesn't need to make total bank at the box office. Just needs to do okay for it to break even. When we get to the overall numbers this year, Dune Part 2, the only movie over 600 million and over 700, because that's 711.4 million worldwide. Godzilla x Kong's number 2, 555 million. 565 million. Kung Fu Panda 4 is number 3 worldwide. Again, worldwide numbers are the combined box office of domestic and international. So Kung Fu Panda 4, number 3 of 545 worldwide. A couple Chinese films are 4 and 5. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, the 6th biggest movie of the year, 359 million. It'll probably sit around there. It's over $100 million behind a Chinese film, which is at number 5. Chinese films are at 7 and 8, and then number 9 is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire at 200 million worldwide. And the Garfield movie is at number 10 worldwide with its $193 million total. So obviously, it'll more than break even for Sony. One of the biggest movies people think of the summer is coming out this weekend, both from a audience accepting point of view and from a business perspective. Inside Out 2 from Pixar is hitting theaters this Friday, the only major release. This is a big swing as Pixar has really struggled with original non-IP content since the pandemic. Sending a couple of their movies straight to Disney Plus, and then in recent years, Lightyear losing the studio hundreds of millions of dollars. Elemental was a solid success. Not a good opening weekend for Elemental. Did better on streaming than it did in theaters. Inside Out has not, the first movie came out 9 years ago. So we'll see if there's still tons of money to be made on the Inside Out franchise, as Pete Docter and Pixar have been in the headlines saying that they need to stop making autobiographical director movies and instead make more mainstream. And sadly, he's saying they want to make more and more sequels and maybe even reboots some of their franchises. Here's one of their sequels that is ready to go, Inside Out 2. I'll have a review up for that more likely on Thursday. A busy week on the channel as always, so stay tuned for the channel for daily videos. Every day I should be posting videos this week. So stay tuned. I'll be talking more videos soon.